going to talk about the general safety tips and burglary prevention, 抢劫预防哈。The first one will be Under Sheriff Ken Binder, and also we have Captain Brendan Omori. These two wonderful officers are going to share today. Under Sheriff Ken Binder, thank you, worked for the Sheriff's Office since 1999. And he has worked a variety of assignments in his career, including patrol, sexual assault detective, and homicide detective. And he has also had many collateral assignments, including field training officer, Sheriff's Emergency Response Team, SWAT, Sheriff's Off-Road Enforcement Team member, SOAR, and the crime scene investigator. Wow, it's such great experience. I think we are very, very safe from now on. And so, yep, let's welcome Under Sheriff Ken Binder. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if I can live up to that introduction, but I'll do my best. Thank you. So my name is Ken Binder. I am actually the undersheriff here in Santa Clara County. And it is an honor to be with you here this morning on the Public Safety Day. And the Sheriff's Office, we actually have an appreciation certificate for Director Huang and the Shu Qi Foundation. We're grateful for you putting this presentation on today so that people can be safe, and we want to help be part of that. And so we've got a certificate of appreciation that we'll give to you later, and just want to thank you for your efforts on this. So my name is Ken Binder. What I'm going to briefly talk to you about today is I'm going to give you an overview of the Sheriff's Office. I'm going to talk about a few of the common scams that people are, that we're seeing right now a lot, and we want to prevent you from becoming a victim of those scams. Then I will talk about some ways to help prevent burglaries in your homes. And then for those of you who own businesses, if there's time, I'll briefly run through some of the safety tips for you that are business owners to keep you from suffering loss. And then after I'm done, I'll take some questions, and then I'll turn it over to our very own Captain Omori, and he's going to talk to you about one of the things we're doing with one of our specialized teams in regard to retail theft. So with that, let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Do we know how to get it to the next slide? Is there a remote? Thank you very much. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the Sheriff's Office, Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office. Who knows the difference? Oh, it's got a mind of its own. Let's wait. Let's see it for it to catch up. Okay, who knows the difference between the sheriff's office, a deputy sheriff working in the streets, and a police officer? Does anyone know the difference? I ask that whenever I do presentations, from whether it's kindergartners all the way through adults. Almost no one knows the difference. So we do the same job. At the street level, a deputy sheriff and a police officer responds to 911 calls. They investigate crimes. They take reports. But there is a difference between the sheriff's office and the police department. And the sheriff's office has additional responsibilities beyond those. We do extraditions of fugitives for criminals that are all across the country. In fact, Captain Omori is in charge of that unit and several other specialized units that you're going to see here shortly. We serve subpoenas and civil processes, including evictions. And then the sheriff's office has the unique responsibility of housing all of the county's inmates. So we run the jails. So there's some distinctions between the sheriff's office and the local police department. But when you see the vehicles driving around in your area, they're basically doing this. A deputy sheriff is doing the same job that a police officer does, but just in different areas. And so Santa Clara County, very large county, almost 2 million people. And within the county, there's a dozen police departments. So the sheriff's office has a service population of a little bit over 200,000. And then you have San Jose Police Department, Sunnyvale Department of Public Safety, Milpitas Police Department, a dozen local agencies that provide law enforcement services within the county. So depending on where you live determines on who responds to your home if you call 911 or if you become a victim of a burglary or need assistance in any way. Santa Clara County is the 6th largest county in the state of California. It's very populous, not geography-wise, but population-wise, very concentrated. And we have a service base. The county is 1,312 square miles long. It's a very large area. So the sheriff's office actually has, our headquarters is downtown. I showed you a picture of it earlier. It's actually on Younger Avenue at 1st Street, right off of 880 over here. That's where our headquarters operation does. We patrol central unincorporated areas of San Jose, our east unincorporated areas of the county. And then we have 2 other substations. We have one over in Cupertino. Has anyone seen or been to the Cupertino substation? Anyone live in Cupertino? How about Saratoga? Los Altos Hills? So our West Valley substation patrols, we have what we call contract cities. So those cities don't have their own police department, but they contract with the sheriff's office to provide all those law enforcement services. So if you live in one of those contract cities, the sheriff's office will respond to your house, and we've got a substation over in Cupertino where those deputies actually work out of. We've also got another substation down in San Martin, which is right in between Morgan Hill and Gilroy. And those deputies that work out of that substation patrol all of our southern county areas. Our southern county is less populated, or it's less condensed, I should say, than the northern county. So there's a large area that our deputies are responsible for in terms of square footage. So the sheriff's office was incorporated in 1850. Our very first sheriff was Sheriff Yance. You could see an old photograph of him. This is an elected position. So our current sheriff is Robert Johnson. He was elected in November of 2022. He actually took office on December 12th of 2022. He started his term a little bit early because our former sheriff had retired. The sheriff is an elected position. It goes for every 4 years, and then it has to be reelected. And the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer within the county. So that's another distinction between the police department and the sheriff's office. A police chief is responsible for the city, reports to a city manager, and takes direction from a city council within that city. The sheriff, however, has no council to report to. The sheriff is independently elected, has constitutional authority in order to carry out the duties. So the sheriff is elected by the people to ensure public safety overall within the county. We're very fortunate in Santa Clara County because we have excellent police departments. They do a great job. The sheriff does not have to worry about law enforcement services within any of the cities. However, if there ever came a time where a city was not doing its job, the sheriff actually has the authority to come in and either investigate, shut the city down, do police services within the city. And a most recent example, it's been a number of years now, but down in Southern California, when there were some issues in Compton, I think it was, with the police department, the sheriff's office actually came in and started doing police services in that city until they were able to get their police department squared away and back on track. So we were founded in 1850. The sheriff's office in this county, we're the largest law enforcement agency in the county. And really a big part of that is because we've got the jails. We've got about 800 deputies that actually work in the jails 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have a large annual budget, and I already mentioned some of the contract cities that we do police work for. We also have a contract with the Valley Transportation Authority. Has anyone seen the cars that drive around that say VTA, Valley Transportation Authority, but they're sheriff's cars? And have you wondered, what are they? Are those cops? Can they give us a ticket? Who's ever wondered that when you see the Valley Transportation Authority cars? The answer is, yes, they can give you a ticket. They are deputy sheriffs that are contracted by VTA to provide police services along the light rails, the bus routes, the bus stops where there's shelters. So if there's a crime that occurs anywhere along there, the VTA will actually dispatch our deputies, and our deputies will go investigate. We also have contracts in the county parks. We have deputies that work seasonal and year-round, depending on how many, whether it's a busy part of the season or not. And we'll wait for this to catch up. The Sheriff's Office has a number of specialized teams. Being the largest law enforcement agency, we like to say that we're a full-service department. So one of the benefits that our contract cities have by working with the Sheriff's Office, Cupertino, Saratoga, Los Altos Hills, is they have access to everything. So we've got a SWAT team. It's called CERT, Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. They get about maybe a dozen calls a year. Believe it or not, there's a lot for them to actually do. Fortunately, most of it stays out of the news. Over the years, there's been a number of active shooter scenarios that not only our SWAT team has gone to, but our deputy sheriffs. Most recently, a couple of years ago, you may have heard about the VTA active shooter. Several people died. It was really sad. Our deputies got there and went right in. We had the Gilroy Garlic shooting a number of years ago. Less known, but there was a shooting at the Ford store in Morgan Hill a few years ago. We had the Lehigh Quarry shooting in 2010. Does anyone remember that? You guys, was anyone around when that happened right outside of Cupertino? So the point being that no matter what happens, we have excellent training. We have teams that are specially trained to handle anything that comes up. We've got school resource officers that work within our schools. We've got a helicopter unit that helps us catch bad guys, particularly burglars when someone's in the neighborhood. We've used it to help find missing people. Most recently, we had an elderly man that had Alzheimer's, and he was wandering around for a couple of hours over in the Sunnyvale area. And our helicopter flew over and was calling out. When we actually found him, he said, "Hey, the helicopter was calling my name." So we do get, believe it or not, we get complaints sometimes. People think, oh, there's a helicopter overhead, and they're annoyed by the sound, by the noise. But we try to tell people, we found a missing person, or we caught someone that was breaking into houses. We don't use it unless we really need to use it. And so we help people to try to understand, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But all of our specialized units up here, traffic, motorcycles, off-road, bomb team, everything, there's no magic formula. These are just normal people like you and I that have been hired by the sheriff's office, but we train them to do these specialties. These are collateral duties. So we give them specialized equipment and training, and that's what makes them the experts. Once they're trained up and then they get these types of calls, believe it or not, all of these things are used every month in one form or another. So they get repetition and then they get really good at it. So we've got some great experts that work within the sheriff's office. Okay, let's transition. Enough about the sheriff's office. Let's talk about what we can do to help you not become a victim. So, scams. Has anyone ever received a phone call saying, you missed jury duty and now there's a warrant out for your arrest? Or you had some unpaid parking tickets from a couple of years ago and now they've gone to arrest warrant and there's an arrest warrant out for you. Has anyone ever had that type of a call? We get calls all the time, and we put out notices on our social media trying to remind people not to fall for these scams. By the way, take a look after the presentation and find the sheriff's office, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Sign up because you'll get helpful alerts like this, and you'll be able to see what else is going on with your local sheriff's office here. But we get these calls, and there's certain red flags that you know this is a scam. Number one, the sheriff's office and any other police department, sometimes they say they're from the FBI, sometimes they say they're from your local police department. But they always tell you, they try to scare you. Number one, you've got an arrest warrant. Number two, they make it very urgent. You need to pay it off right away or we're going to come to your house and arrest you, or we're going to come to your business and arrest you. The sheriff's office is not pushy like that. Neither are the police departments. If you honestly had an arrest warrant, and we would call you and say, come on down to the sheriff's office, we'll meet you here and we'll take care of it. I mean, if it's something really serious and you're a truly bad person, we may show up at your house with a SWAT team. But for jury duty or parking tickets, you would never get a call from the sheriff's office. They would, the other red flag, they want you to pay today and they want you to go down to the grocery store and get these gift certificate cards and call in the phone number. I'm going to call in the card number so that they can get access to those funds. Or they'll ask you to go cryptocurrency, to pay with cryptocurrency. Or they'll ask you for a money order. Or they'll ask you for non-traditional payment that cannot be traced and that cannot be reversed. The sheriff's office, that's not how our justice system works. We would never call you and say, pay us with cryptocurrency to stay out of jail. So when you hear those sorts of things, they're very convincing. They call, and they'll also spoof the number. So the number will show actually from the sheriff's office. And they go onto our website, and they see names from the sheriff's office. My name personally, Ken Binder, undersheriff, has been used numerous times on people saying, hey, you missed jury duty. You owe $14,000. If you pay me today, we'll keep you out of jail and we'll take care of the warrant. And then, and they're convinced and they see the phone number. And when they Google the phone number from their phone, it comes back to the sheriff's office. But that's not really the number they're calling from. So if you get a phone call like that, any of the things that I'm explaining, you can just hang up. I was actually in a bank one time and I was in uniform like this. And there was a gentleman that was in line on the phone with one of these scammers. And he was getting ready to pull some money out of the bank. And he saw me and he goes, hey, this is what's happening. And I said, hey, this is a scam. I said, give me the phone. So I said, hello? I said, hey, we want to, I'm with this person. We want to meet you and give it to you in person, the cash in person. He would not do it, of course, because he knew he'd get arrested. When he wouldn't do it, then I told him, hey, we know what you're doing. You're scamming. You should be ashamed of yourself. How dare you victimize elderly people with their nest egg and you're trying to take their money from them? And then he swore at me, he said, had some choice words, and he hung up because he knew the scam was over. But it sounds so real. So whenever you're in doubt, hang up, and then you can Google wherever the number they said they're coming from, the sheriff's office, the police department, the FBI, and call them directly and tell them what you just heard on a phone call. 10 out of 10 times they're going to tell you, oh, that's a scam. Just don't worry about it. You can report it you can go to the FBI's website and report it, and it just goes into some statistical database. But there's really not much that can be done with your particular case unless you have a huge loss. And it's really sad. Sometimes people do have big losses, and then the FBI or your local agency will take steps to investigate. Another scam. Someone will call and say, I'm your grandchild, grandson, granddaughter, and I'm in Mexico and I got arrested. And they'll say, I need bail money. Can you please hurry? I need to get out. Don't fall for that. They'll call you at all hours. And for people that have actually sent the money, they go get the cards. They directly wire the money, cryptocurrency. Once they get the money, then the burglars or the bad guys, they figure, oh, we've got them. They call you back and they ask for more. They say, okay, I'm your grandchild. I'm out of jail. Now I need money to get back to the United States. Can you please send another couple grand? And they figure they got nothing to lose. So anytime you have something like that, if it seems pushy, if it seems quick, they're rushing, major red flag. And it could be I gave you a couple scenarios. It can be any scenario. If they push you, if they want money, if they threaten you with arrest, those are scams. That's not how law enforcement works. Okay. How to protect your home from burglaries. Unfortunately, one of the big crimes we have here in Santa Clara County is burglaries. The silver lining is there's other counties where the major crime is robbery, gun violence, other things. There's not a ton of violence in this county, which is a really good thing, but people will steal your stuff and take your property. So that's really what we want to focus on today, on how to protect yourself. There's no foolproof way to keep your home 100% from becoming burglarized. Someone breaking in and taking your stuff when you're not home. But what you can do is you can take steps to make your home a difficult target. And bad guys, burglars, they like the path of least resistance. So if they come into your neighborhood and they see that your home is fortified, 99 times out of 100, they're going to go to someone else's home. So that's what you want to do. You want to make it hard for them so that they go somewhere else. So some of the things that you can do here. When you're not home, lock your doors, close your windows, and lock your windows. And set your alarm if you have one. Believe it or not, a large percentage of burglaries, people go in through unlocked doors and unlocked windows. Even on the second floor, if you have a 2-story home, they will climb up, open the windows, and get through. We've seen it over and over and over in law enforcement. So basic things like that. And it's easy to get complacent if you haven't been a victim of burglary or in years or a long time. But once you become burglarized, then you'll start doing it. But don't do it then. Do it now, before you become a victim. Alarms. If you have an alarm, make sure you set it. That's easy to get complacent, to get comfortable, to think it won't happen to me. But if you set your alarm and the alarm goes off, a lot of times it's going to push the burglars away because they don't want to get caught. If you have an alarm, make sure that the alarm company has all of your updated contact information so that they can contact you when the alarm goes off. If you go on vacation, make sure that if you're out of the country or out of the state and they can't contact you, make sure they have someone back home that they can contact in case it goes off so that it can be managed. Lock the side gates and driveways. If you have a side gate, put a padlock on there. A lot of times what they do is these burglars will go through the neighborhood, they'll pretend to be solicitors, they'll knock on your front door, and if no one answers, they'll go around and they'll go walk around your house. They'll get right through the side door, and then they're checking for unlocked doors and unlocked windows. And if there is, then they go in. So make it hard for them. Keep everything locked. Make them have to jump over the fence. If they do that, you hope maybe one of your neighbors will see, or they'll just move on to the next house. Mindful of shrubbery and potential hiding places. This sounds interesting, but if you've got clutter in your front yard or overgrown bushes or trees everywhere, bushes everywhere, a lot of trees, it gives them something to kind of hide behind as they approach the house, especially at night, but even during the day. So make it so that you're kind of an open book, that everyone can see what's going on in your front yard. If someone goes from the street to your side gate or to your front door, anyone going by can see them. Lighting for at night. Have the motion sensor lights, have them turn on so that everyone can see what's going on, and you make it hard on criminals. Serial numbers. Your valuable items within your house, make sure you have a list somewhere of the serial numbers. Because if you do become a victim of burglary and they take off with those things, it gives us an opportunity to actually get the stuff back to you and also to arrest the people that are in possession of them. Because what happens is, after if you become a victim of burglary, the police or a deputy sheriff will show up to your house and they'll take a list, an inventory of everything that's gone, and they'll add up the value. And if you have serial numbers, we have a database, a stolen property database with serial numbers. And we actually catch a lot of burglars, not necessarily during the act, that happens once in a while, but most of the time after the fact. So if you're living in Cupertino and you have a Rolex watch that was stolen and you got the serial number and you give it to the deputy, we could have a deputy in East San Jose or down in unincorporated Gilroy make a car stop a couple days later, and while they're searching the car, they find this really nice Rolex watch. They don't think it belongs to the driver, but how do they know for sure? Well, they'll run the serial number into the stolen property database, and when it comes back to you, the person says, "Hey, do you know so-and-so?" No. Or if they say yes, we could contact you. But we know at that point that it's stolen. So our deputies will arrest the person for being in possession of stolen property. You'll get your valuable item back, and we can prosecute them in court. So very important to keep a list somewhere. Have a safe if you don't have a safe. And if you do have a safe, make sure it's bolted to the ground, because they will take the safe if there's enough time. Surveillance cameras. Does anyone have surveillance cameras in their homes? Yeah. Is it linked to your cell phone? Yeah, technology's great. I've got cameras, 360. Honestly, I went to Costco. I think I got 8 cameras for like $800. This was probably about 10 years ago. But I hooked them all up, and I can look at my phone at any time and see what's going on around my house. The doorbell cameras, there's Ring and some other companies. Put those on there so that you know if someone's in the neighborhood pretending to be solicitors, knocking on doors, you know that they're there, and you answer and say, "Hey, can I help you? I'm not interested." And they know that they're on camera at that point. Really important. The other thing, if you live in sheriff's office jurisdiction, and a lot of the local police departments do this too, but if there's a solicitor that comes to your door and something doesn't feel right, listen to that. And you can call 911 or your local non-emergency number, and the sheriff's office will come out and we'll contact them while they're in their neighborhood, and we'll check to see if they have a valid solicitor's permit. So when we can see who they are, we can identify them and see if there's, if they've got a criminal background, if they should be in the neighborhood or not. You know your neighborhood the best. You know when someone is suspicious. You are the police, the sheriff's office cannot be everywhere at once. So we rely on you to be our eyes and our ears while we're not there. So if you see anything suspicious in your neighborhood, don't hesitate to call 911. Sometimes we have people think, well, I don't want to bother them. I don't know if it's anything. Maybe that everything's fine. And then they go on with their day. No, we don't catch burglars that way. We catch burglars when you call and say, hey, there's this car at the end of the street with a couple guys sitting in there, and I don't know what they're doing. Maybe it's illegal, maybe it's not, I don't know. But can you guys send a deputy out just to check it out? And we'll do that. We'll go check them out. And if they're there for legitimate purposes, no big deal. We'll talk to them and we'll be on our way. But if they're there burglarizing your neighbors or your house, you want us to be out there talking to them to see who they are, to arrest them if they're doing something wrong or if they have stolen property in their vehicle. Because they go from house to, they'll burglarize several houses on one trip. So chances are, if they've got stolen property in there, we're going to catch them with it. Okay, I talked about calling and suspicious behavior. Don't second guess yourself. If something doesn't feel right, listen to it. Listen to your sixth sense. Suspicious people. You know who the regulars are. Housekeepers, pool cleaners, landscapers. In the middle of the night, you guys know who we get called on the most? That is actually okay? Any guesses? It's early morning. The paper delivery person. They drive around in cars. They're not like when I was a kid. We drove around on our bikes. We'd deliver papers. Now you've actually got, because it's so expensive to live here, you got adults driving around in their cars, and they drive up to driveways and throw the cars in. But it looks funny because they're driving erratically, delivering papers, and when I was a young deputy, I remember working midnights. I remember seeing that the first time, and I thought, oh, this person's casing the neighborhood, and I went and pulled them over. And I walked up, and there was a carload of newspapers, and I thought, oh, you're working. Okay. But if you see someone driving erratically in the middle of the night, go ahead and call us. They're either drunk, or they're delivering papers, or they're up to no good, and we'll figure it out. You just call us, let us do it. That's what we get paid for. So you know who the regulars are. Call us if you see someone who's out of the ordinary. And I will say this, criminals have gotten they've gotten a lot more professional about it. So they don't look like criminals. They're actually, a lot of the folks that we see coming into our neighborhoods and casing neighborhoods, they're driving really nice cars, SUVs. They're dressed nice. They're not people walking around with tattoos all over their face. They're not what you would think of as a criminal. And the reason they do that is they want to blend into to the neighborhoods. So if you live in a neighborhood and you see someone show up that shouldn't be there, you can always call and just ask us to go check them out. Okay, when you're on vacation, one of the things that crooks look for is piling up of the newspapers at the end of the driveway. They look for mail, overloaded mailbox. They look for lights, if multiple times, maybe several nights in a row. They see that the same light on your living room or kitchen is on. It looks like it's never been off. They're looking for any signs that you're not home. So in order to throw them off, take some countermeasures. Number one, have the paper stop delivery. Contact your post office, ask them to stop delivering the mail, or if you have a trusted friend to get these things for you, that's fine too. They've got great timer devices. When around Christmas time, I remember I got one of these devices that would turn the Christmas lights on and then off after midnight or whatever. You can actually use those devices for lights inside your house, where you've got maybe a lamp near a window that will go on for a couple hours at night and go off, maybe have it go on and off again. Make it look like someone's home. If you live in sheriff's office jurisdiction, go on our website or call our dispatch and let them know you're going to be gone and you want the sheriff's office to do patrol checks. We'll do that for you. We'll drive around the neighborhood and check. Okay, let's see, how are we doing on time? All right, I'm going to rush through. This is the last part of my presentation, but for those of you that are business owners, just some quick tips. I talked about the fact already, the difference between a burglary, robbery is a robbery is a person crime. So that would be, it's 211 of the Penal Code, and it's the forcible taking of personal property from another. That's a person-to-person crime. A burglary, it's 459 of the Penal Code, is defined as someone entering a building or structure with intent to commit grand or petty theft or any other felony. So someone breaks into your house or your car, it's a burglary, it's a property crime. If someone takes it directly from you, causing you fear, or if they forcibly take it from you, that's a robbery. And so those are potential threats to your business. And then employee theft, internal theft, that's your biggest threat, honestly. And we know those are people that you know, that you work with, and that you trust. But you're going to want to have things in place to make sure, the old adage, trust but verify, and I'll talk briefly about that. Okay. All right. The first thing you want to do with their business is basically, I mean, it's common sense. You want to harden it. Make sure you have solid doors, locks, door frames, surveillance cameras, alarms. And at night, you want to, if you have a store with a register, leave the register open. If someone peeks through the window, they can see there's nothing there. Don't keep large amounts of money throughout the day. You should be, if you're a cash business, take it back and drop cash into the safe so that if someone comes in to rob, they're not going to have access to quite as much cash. Okay, employee theft. I mentioned this before. So according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce of Small Business Center, 30% of all business failures are caused by employee theft. These are people you trust and work with, but always make sure, there's a few things you can do to make sure that you don't become a victim. That's to have safeguards in place. And it's not just cash. Trade secrets, internal documents, your inventory can start disappearing. Maybe they skim, take some of it and sell it on the side or use it. So think about whatever your business is and your exposure is, and then set up steps to reduce employee theft. So one of the things is ethical behavior. Model it from the top. If you're doing the right thing and that's the expectation that you set for your employees, they'll know that you have a high standard, and if they don't meet that high standard, they're not going to be continuing to be part of your business. Financial controls. Keep checkbooks locked up, restrict access to cash, segregate financial responsibilities. Don't let the only person that should have the entire big picture should be you as the owner. Your employees should only have pieces of the picture. The more knowledge that they have, the easier it is to work the system. Conduct audits, and always maintain a consistent standard for all of your employees. If you catch your employee doing something minor, a minor theft, Don't slap them on the wrist and say, don't do that again. Because chances are they're doing a lot of other thefts that you didn't catch them for and that you don't know about. It shows that they have an integrity issue. You want employees that have the utmost integrity working for you and in your business. So no second chances. If someone has a moral turpitude failure, any type of theft or lying to you, fire them. You don't need those people around. That's all I have. Any questions for me on this part of the presentation? Don't everyone ask at once.
I do have a question.
All right, you guys have been an excellent crowd. Thank you for being engaged. Oh, yeah.
I do have a question. You said
Sure.
if we have problem, we can call sheriff department. What's the number to call?
I'm sorry, could you say it a little louder?
If we need to call you,
Yes. Okay.
what's the number to
So,
call?
okay, a number, I'm going to say 911 because everyone lives in different jurisdictions. If you live within the sheriff's office, if you dial 911, it'll get you to your local police department. If you live in sheriff's office jurisdiction, that'll be our dispatch. If you live in San Jose or Milpitas, it'll go to their dispatch. If you're on a freeway, it'll go to the California Highway Patrol. And if you live near a freeway, sometimes those you'll get caught up on those towers. But you just tell them where you're at. As soon as they get the location, they'll transfer you to the right place. Yes, sir. Yes. The question is, are there age requirements for joining the sheriff's office? 21 years old. We require a couple of years of college. In a couple of years, it's going to be, you're going to have a bachelor degree, and that's a state law that's in process. But that's for the law enforcement side, if you want to work patrol. And then our jails, if you want to work in there, it's a different classification. You still got to be 21, but they don't have the educational requirements. Or if you've got military background, that could be done in lieu of the college as well for enforcement. Yes.
The crime rate is getting higher and higher. Robbery, housebreaking. Can you talk about why?
Because they want your stuff. No, it's really sad. Maybe, honestly, most of the people that we arrest have a drug problem that are committing property crimes, burglary, robbery, and people will tell you, oh, drugs are a victimless crime. Oh, it's an addiction. That's true, it is an addiction. But it is not a victimless crime. 80% of all property crimes is due to someone that's using drugs and they need money to get their fix. So when someone tells you, well, it's okay, let's just legalize everything, you can look at how that went in Colorado and Washington. California is already very, very lax, but it's not nearly as lax as those states where everything is legal. And I think it's Washington. Just now they're seeing that it didn't work. There's too many people dying of overdose deaths, and there's crime everywhere, and they're actually pulling back some of those laws. They're reversing some of those laws. So support public safety laws that work. Contact your representatives in the Senate and House of Representatives and your local elected officials as well. And let them know you want strong public safety laws and you want criminals held accountable. Because when someone goes in and out of jail, they continue to victimize people, and they victimize a lot of people before they actually do any substantial jail time. And it's not right for the people that are working hard every day, trying to make a living, doing the right thing, raising their family, and you've got someone that's addicted to drugs breaking into your house and taking your stuff. It's not fair. Yes, over here.
For sake of time, can we have this last question? Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, last question. Go ahead.
So one time, somebody called my son. He said, "Oh, I'm from IRS, so you owe IRS tax $5,000. So in 1 hour, I stop by your house. If you didn't pay me, I will put you in jail."
Yes.
So I was at work. So my son called me. So I asked him, call 911. Look at the phone number and tell the cop the phone number because I have the caller ID. But I don't know why he didn't call. He didn't call
He didn't give the money, did he?
No.
Okay, very good. That was a perfect example of the scam I was talking
waiting
about.
for more than 1 hour, but nobody could stop by my house.
Yes, yeah. So that was an example of one of the scams I was telling you about. And nothing happened. No one got arrested. You can just hang up on these people when they call you and don't answer again. Okay, thank you guys. Do you want me to, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Under Sheriff Bender, for wonderful presentation. And the next speaker in this same session, we do have very limited time. Captain Omori, can you condense into 10 minutes? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's tough after lunch. I know we're all sleepy, so let's get up and do 10 jumping jacks. I'm just kidding. I'll make my presentation brief. It's more informational for you all. But I do want to add 3 additional bonus tips for you all from the Undersheriff's presentation. Number 1, if you park your car in the driveway, please lock it before you go home or go inside. I can't tell you how many times we show up to somebody saying that things were stolen out of their car, but they left it unlocked. So lock your car. Bonus tip number 2, if you park your car in the driveway again and not inside the garage, take your clicker out of there, the garage clicker, because what the thieves are doing is they're going by, breaking into your car, and what they're stealing is your clicker and your registration paperwork, so they know where the clicker belongs to, and they will come by later when you're not home and let themselves in your house through the garage, if that makes sense. And number 3, I understand everybody, especially the ladies, love the jewelry, but be careful about having too much jewelry and making it very flashy, because we've had, unfortunately, some very sad examples where people would go to a normal business, frozen yogurt, the grocery store, and they're wearing a lot of jewelry, and the thieves are watching, and they'll follow you home knowing that you have a lot of jewelry. So don't signal to them that you're a good target. Does that make sense? So those are the 3 bonus tips I got for you. What I'm really here to talk about is our organized retail theft initiative that our office has. Again, my name's Brendan Omori. I'm a captain with the Sheriff's Office. I oversee the Special Enforcement Division. And we have a lot of specialty units, undercover narcotics, our air support unit. We go and arrest fugitives. And then the latest team that we've brought aboard in January is called our High Impact Team. And they target organized retail theft. So what is organized retail theft? Organized retail theft is actually a statute now that makes this crime a felony in the state of California. It's 2 or more persons acting in concert to steal merchandise for the purpose of resale. And there's a dollar amount associated. It's $950. And there's a couple other caveats as well, such as receiving or buying stolen property, knowing that it was from organized retail theft, coordinating it, financing it, etc. It's codified in the California Penal Code under Section 490.4. And why this is a big deal is, if you remember a few years back, we had Prop 47, and that basically made a lot of theft-related crimes misdemeanors. And therefore, typically, what that would really reduce the crime penalty is usually probation or sometimes a fine. So what this is not someone going in to steal a candy bar or a soda or something. These are people that are really stealing a lot of merchandise out of businesses for the purpose of going in and selling it for a discount and making sheer profit. And this affects large retailers. So, common ones that we see are Target, Ulta Beauty, Apple, but it also can happen in local and small businesses as well. So in 2022, nationwide, we had $112 billion worth of merchandise that walked out of the stores without being paid for. And you may ask, why does this impact me, especially if you're not a business owner? Well, it impacts you in a variety of ways. One, how many of you have gone into the store and now the thing that you want to buy is either locked up in a case, has extra security tags on it, is in a box, or has some sort of security device on it? That's pretty common, right? That's because of organized retail theft. The store is trying to take preventative measures from their merchandise walking outside and taking in that loss. Target's known for this, but other stores have caught on. How about the carts with the wheel locks, where if you go only a certain distance outside the store, you basically can't push the cart anymore? We all know how sometimes those malfunction and you're inside the store still and you can't push the cart. It creates a negative shopping experience. You get frustrated, right? So those are some of the things that affect you as the end user, the patron of the store. Another thing that we're seeing is now the things that you're buying, the goods, the merchandise, the prices are elevated. It's not always just the concept of inflation. It's that the stores, in order to make a profit, be able to cover the rent in the space, and stay in your communities, they need to raise the prices. And that's very frustrating for us, right? It's frustrating for me. And then a couple other things is it contributes to an unsafe work environment. I don't know if any of you work in the retail space, but there's been countless stories out there where the criminals are becoming more and more brazen, and they will force their way out if necessary. A lot of stores are transitioning to the model of training their employees, don't intervene physically with any thefts, and that's what I would suggest for you all as well. Be the best witness possible for us, and let us come in and take the report and conduct the criminal investigation. And lastly, in some extreme cases, we've seen this. I don't know if you remember last year in September, October-ish, Target made headlines. I hate to keep bringing Target up, but they have been a very big beacon for thieves. But they actually had to close 3 stores in the Bay Area because of the amount of thefts that they had. So what does that mean for you all? That means convenience, right? If the store, whether it's Target or CVS or Rite Aid, whatever it may be, ends up having to close their doors because they're constantly hit with theft, you're going to have to drive further and longer to get the goods that you need. So that's why it's important. It's been so important to the state that last year, the state, through the BSCC, which is one of their subsidiaries, released $242 million that was competitively available for grant funding, specifically to target retail theft. It was only open to sheriff's offices, police departments, and probation departments. And we were fortunate enough to receive grant funding, almost $12 million. So the sheriff's office for Santa Clara County has enacted a robust program off of this grant funding to try to impact our communities. There's 3 project purpose areas that were focused, which is organized retail theft, auto theft, and cargo theft. We're primarily focusing on organized retail theft. So I'll go over this quickly in the interest of time, but we've created, again, the high-impact team that I discussed. It's a sergeant and 4 plainclothes detectives that are actively focused on organized retail theft. Previously, that would fall under our property crimes unit in the Detective Bureau, but they also investigate a number of crimes such as burglaries, auto thefts, identity thefts, things of that nature. So they solely couldn't focus on retail theft, but now we have a team that does. We are starting to roll out dedicated units to patrol specifically our businesses and retailers. We have numerous public outreach events such as this, where we're trying to spread our message to educate the public on one, what these crimes are, and two, what we're doing about it. And three, we're trying to leverage technology to aid us in bringing these criminals to justice. The sheriff is very passionate about this topic, so Sheriff Johnson really wants to implore that it's through our community partnerships and working together that we're going to be able to solve crimes like organized retail theft. And it's not just the sheriff's office or your local police department, it's really a community effort. And I won't bore you to death with this. This is my last slide. Our goals are really to reduce the effect of organized retail theft, to recover more property, to have less of an impact on the losses
Hello,
of
Ali,
businesses.
can you hear me? Yes.
Okay.
I see Q&A page. Is that right?
I'm sorry?
I guess that was my cue saying that I was taking too long. So take this number down. This is our anonymous tip line. If you see anything when you're there, please do not intervene with a theft in progress. Please just be the best witness possible for us. If you can identify somebody that's stealing a large amount of goods, and you'd be surprised at what it is. One of the biggest things that we have right now is Tide Pods, the things you use for either your laundry or your dishwasher. And baby formula is a big one. And then, ironically, golf balls has been huge. Huge black market for discounted golf balls. And also, if you feel like email is better for you, that's an email address that goes directly to my team that's responsible for retail theft. And again, I can't thank you enough for having us up here to engage with you and be able to share a little bit about our sheriff's office story. But we would love to partner with you all and make our communities a safer place to work and live and play in.
Thank you, Captain Omari. And this is wonderful. I know.
Fast enough for you?
Oh, absolutely not enough, but we will find more time to get more information later. But this is really just the beginning of our Safety Expo, and it's going to be a lot of future opportunities to hear more from our sheriff officers.